back to you, Mr. President. The Sentinel.
Stationed by the door.
Your duties there.
Through this door pass many friends of the FFA. It's my duty to see that they feel welcome at all times. I strive to keep the room comfortable and assist the president in maintaining order.
The reporter.
The reporter is stationed by the flag.
Why by the flag?
As the flag covers the United States of America. So I strive to inform the people in order that every man, woman, and child may know that FFA is a national organization that reaches from the states of Alaska to the Virgin Islands and the states of Maine to Hawaii.
The treasurer.
Stationed at the Animals in Washington.
Your duties there.
I keep a record of receipts and disbursements just as Washington kept his farm accounts, carefully and accurately. I encourage thrift among our members and strive to build our financial standings through savings and investments. George Washington was better able to serve his country because he's financially independent.
The secretary.
Stationed by the airport.
Your duties there.
I keep an accurate record of the meeting, corresponding with the board of secretaries, where the meetings run and FFA members meet.
The advisor.
Here by the owl.
Why by the owl?
The owl is a time-honored emblem of knowledge and wisdom. Being older than the rest of you, I am asked to advise you from time to time as the year rises. I hope that my advice will always be based on true knowledge and ripe with wisdom. Madam Vice President, why do you keep the plow at your station?
The plow is the symbol of labor and tillage of the soil. Without labor, neither knowledge nor wisdom can accomplish much. My duties require me to assist at all times in directing the work of our organization. I preside over meetings in the absence of our president, whose place is beneath the rising sun.
Why is the President so stationed?
The rising sun is a token of a new era in agriculture. If we follow the leadership of our president, we shall be led out of the darkness of selfishness and into the glorious sunlight of brotherhood and cooperation. Mr. President, all officers are at their station.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The Secretary will now call the roll of members.
There is approximately 70 guests and 7 visitors.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. May we accomplish our purposes. Now declare. Thank you.
is originally from Bismarck, North Dakota, where he grew up on a cattle ranch. He was a member of the Bismarck FFA Chapter for 5 years, where he served as treasurer and president. He's attending college at NDSU, pursuing a degree in agricultural education. Help me give a warm welcome to our state FFA Sentinel, Jacob McCall.
Well, thank you very much, Kate. I really appreciate it. Good evening, head of your FFA. As Kate said, my name is Jacob McDonald. I am currently serving as the state FFA Sentinel. I got a question for you. How many of us have older siblings? That's right. Older siblings can be the best thing and the worst thing. Sometimes all at once. See, I remember when I was little, I would watch my older brother ride around on the farm on his bike with ease. And I thought to myself, well, shoot, he can do it. Well, so can I. So here goes 5-year-old Jaden on his little bike ready to go. I remember getting on for the first time, going for that first push-off, and I hit the ground with as much force as a 5-year-old and his misguided ambition can muster. My first experience of riding a bike was a painful one, as I'm sure it was with many of us. As someone who falls and fails often, I can tell you that failure is one of life's worst, best teachers. My story of failure is one of clashing metal, expensive repairs, and ultimately straight up failure. See, when I was about 12 or 13 years old, my family was right in the middle of harvesting oats. My dad had charged me with driving the grain cart beside the combine one year. Now, Dad had driven with me a few times, and he thought that I was finally ready to go it on my own. So, he went with me a few times, he got the combine, came back down, got set up, and I throttled that tractor up to speed with the combine. Let me tell you, I was really going, really moving down the field. And just as I started pulling up beside the combine, I heard the crash of steel on steel contact. I don't know how many of you have ever broken a large piece of equipment before, but I'm sure we're all too familiar with the sound of crunching steel and the gut-wrenching feeling that often follows. I quickly hit the clutch and the brakes, and I looked back to see what had happened. I had run the grain cart into the unloading auger of the combine. Yeah, I could see oats starting to trickle out of a little crack in the auger. I don't know how many of you are familiar with augers, but there's supposed to be an in and an out. There's not supposed to be a third option. Yet there it was, staring me in the face, a third option, lo and behold. Dad quickly shut down the unloading auger. I shut off the combine, or the tractor. Why? I don't know. It scared me as a little bit. Nothing worked. I remember Dad walked up to the tractor, and he calmly explained what I needed to do better for next time. Namely, don't drive so close to the combine. Shocker, right? I was mortified, and frankly, a bit shaken up. But something that my dad told me will stick with me for the rest of my life. He told me, Jaden, don't worry about it. Mistakes are all a part of the process. Let me say that again. Mistakes are all a part of the process. You see, I thought that just because I had made this huge mistake, that I was simply not cut out for the job, and I should never touch the tractor again. I had thought that the only step to learning a skill should be receiving the lesson. Right? Receive the lesson, get it right on the first try. Bulletproof plan, right? Except it wasn't. I literally took a lesson from the School of Hard Knocks that day. But I learned something. I learned that failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is truly a key component. After my dad's sage advice, I got back on that tractor, finished the load, and then finished the field without any major issues. But let's think for just a moment. What would have happened if I would have never gotten back on that grain cart again? I would have missed out on what has become one of my favorite parts of my family's operation, farming and running machinery. More importantly, I would have missed out on continuing that crazy, wonderful, painful journey that my dad called the process. You see, every single person in this room has had a grain cart moment. For some, it might have been that poor grade in math class. For others, it might have been that bad sale in the egg sales competition. And for others still, it might have been that missed free throw at the big game. What would have happened if we just quit after that bad sale, that poor grade, or that missed free throw? If we had just quit, I'm willing to bet that many of us wouldn't be even sitting in these seats tonight. If we only ever view our failures in this life as bad, we will miss out on one of the worst, best teachers that this life has to offer. Every time we fail, we are presented with a choice and an opportunity. Sure, we could just quit, maybe save ourselves a little pain down the road. Or we can get back up, dust ourselves off, and take a lesson from life's worst, best teacher. For you couple of seniors here tonight, let me tell you, the mistakes after high school, after your advisor hears it here to tell you what you're doing wrong and how to fix it, they don't stop. But the important part is that you get back up and try again. Because that is how you grow as a better person and as a better leader. FFA members and guests, let's all sign an invisible contract today to commit to failure. Because just like me in that grain cart, it's all a part of the process. I want to thank you guys so much for allowing me to come out here tonight and celebrate all you guys' accomplishments and hang out with you guys. Let me say that I'm very, very proud of what you guys have done this year, especially considering all of these strange circumstances and crazy last couple of years, really, that we've been through. I bring big congratulations and greetings from our state staff, Mr. Aaron Anderson, Mr. Craig Cleveland, and Mrs. Susie Weigel of Bismarck, as well as the State FFA Foundation staff. And a huge congratulations from my other fellow 6 teammates who are scattered across the state this evening, celebrating with other chapters at their own banquets. Thank you guys so much once again. Really appreciate it. Have yourself a good night.
Thank you for your words of wisdom. We'd like to present you with a gift as a token of our appreciation. On this bottle is a variety of forms describing our great state of North Dakota. May you experience each of these on your journey. Please help me give Jaden a round of applause. But now we will introduce our main speaker for tonight, Ron Kestel. Ron Kestel grew up on a farm and ranch north of Belfield, North Dakota. He attended NDSU for crop and weed science in '99. He started his professional career as an agronomist at Farmers Union Oil of Southern Valley in Fairmont, North Dakota. He then moved back to Belfield and worked on certified seed farm for 3 years. Ron expanded his horizons again by joining USDA and RCS for 3 years in various roles, working in Lisbon, Bismarck, and Jamestown, North Dakota. The opportunity to move back to western North Dakota was provided by Helena Agri Enterprises in February 2006. He has worked for Helena in the last 15 years in various roles. Ron is a certified crop advisor. Ron and his brother Ed started their farm in 2005. They are the third generation to operate on this family farm. They grow spring wheat, winter wheat, malt barley, peas, lentils, corn, and sunflowers. They utilize direct seeding method, cover crops, buffer strips, and precision egg technology. To manage their natural resources, all these resources have allowed Ron to see agriculture through many different lenses. Ron and his wife reside in Wagner, North Dakota with their 2 children, Jake and Carrie. They enjoy being outdoors gardening and getting away to Grandma and Grandpa's farms. Next up is our speech from Ron Kestel.
Thanks, Kate. Oh, guess it doesn't fit. Excuse me. So, I'm excited to be here tonight, and a little bit nervous too, so I might get a crackling in my voice. I'll get comfortable and I'll get into this. Thank you, Sydney. Any of you seen, I'm sure some of you have seen the movie Waterboy. This is the time of the year, like the old coach in there, he's got his little playbook. We're busy in the spring's work doing things. I got my crew back in New England doing field work right now, so I had to bring my playbook with. When I was writing the speech, I'm like, where am I going to put this so I can find it? And I just finished it on the way here too, so that's just kind of my style. But this is a perfect place where I can put this because I don't have it. And I'll also have my playbook in case I do have to do some work. But I'm really excited to be here tonight. And a couple things about this evening as we got started here that I have to commend the meal. It was very good. And as I was going through the line, I'm like, wow, macaroni and cheese. I have been to so many crop meetings in western North Dakota where we eat potato salad. We don't raise potatoes in western North Dakota, we raise durum. So I was really excited to ask Mrs. Shower, who picked the menu out? She says, well, the kids had involved with it, and they were adamant about having mac and cheese. So thank you to the students for doing that. My boss is actually from potato country, so whenever we have a meeting out in Washington, we got to eat potatoes there, and I always say, when can we have some macaroni salad or mac and cheese? It's not all about potatoes. But the other thing is little did I know that 34 years later, I would be doing a speech in this gym. The very first time I ever stepped in this gym, I was a 7th grader for science fair. And I remember I grew up in Belfield, went to school at a Catholic school there. Our gym was half this size, which I thought was big. I come walking in this gym and I'm like, oh my gosh, this place is huge. And there was people all over and booths set up, and that was my first real exposure to science. And one of the things I love about agriculture is it involves all the sciences, everything. Physics, chemistry, biology, all those things, which just gives us a lot of diversity on picking what we like. So that was my introduction to the science world, and it was actually done on flower power. That was the title of my project, and it was looking at the gluten strength of different flours and why we use all-purpose flour versus bread flour for making different breads and pastries that we eat. So excited to be here for that reason too, because the one thing is you never know where life is going to take you. I thought when I walked out of here that day, I would never be back in this gym. Since then, I've been here numerous times. We make this our home with our family, and I like living in Pettinger. Pettinger's a great place to be. So when Katie and Katie asked me to if I'd speak at this, I'm like, wow, I'm honored first off, because that's a pretty big honor to have someone ask me to speak at their banquet. I've never had that before. The other thing is, I'm like, well, I'm not an alumni of FFA. And they're like, that's fine. We never had FFA when I was a kid in Belfield. They've got a chapter there now. At that time, what I thought FFA was for just the big schools, because Dickinson had one. And I've found out more that it isn't just the big schools, and since then, North Dakota's really expanded their FFA program. And I'm glad to see that. And the advisors like Mrs. Shower and the other ones across the state, I think it's great for what they do with these students. I've gotten the opportunity to spend time with these students here being an agronomy coach. This past year was my first year doing it. And I was a crop stripper for 4-H. Did 4-H all the way till I graduated, and I loved it. So to get back and be involved with it is a lot of fun for me. So when they asked me, I asked, what's the theme? Is there something specific you want me to talk about, or is there an open? And they said, whatever you want to talk about. Talk about how you got involved in agriculture. So I thought about it for a while since they asked, and not being an FFA member, I never knew what this meant. I believed in the future of agriculture. I found out tonight when they did their pledge. And I thought, I do believe in the future of agriculture. And this bill will actually come from a national FFA convention when my cousin was an FFA advisor up in Divide County. And it sits on our couch downstairs. And I want to share with you a little bit why we believe in the future of agriculture. So, since I was never involved in FFA, but in 4-H, I had a few people that were mentors in my life. My dad and uncles, I grew up with my cousins. My dad farmed his 4 other brothers, and that's part of the operation that me and my brother are on today. And so they were my mentors. All I ever wanted to do was farm. And my mom told us boys, or all us kids, there was 5 of us, you got 2 options. Either you're going to college or you're going to the military. And that isn't going to get me to farming. I don't want to go to college and I don't want to go to the military. Well, I took the easy way out. I went to college. My brother did the military route. But anyways, in my journeys, I've always thought, who was a mentor in my life on the professional side? And I would have to extend that to Jerry Larson, who is our Stark Billings County Extension Agent. And Jerry was always a wealth of knowledge, and that was at a time when the local producer went to the extension agent for a lot of information. There wasn't the agronomy locations like there is today. There wasn't the crop consultants and the people that were doing that. The extension service was the main provider of that information. So he's my professional mentor, and my dad and uncles are my first agricultural mentors. And so early on, that belief in agriculture was instilled in me. And so now I look at it, why do I believe in ag? First off, we all need to eat. That's what agriculture is about, is food production from the basics. But I think it can be more than that as we learn and grow. I think it's got the opportunity for energy, fuel, and biomass and fiber. I mean, it is part of that already. What's the future of fuel production going to be with agriculture, with new technologies and different things? We already have ethanol. I think that's maybe just a stepping stone to what's the future could hold. It's an economic driver in rural areas. And I'm a firm believer in keeping these rural areas going because we need to keep people on the land. If you go back and look at what the federal government wanted to do, a family on every quarter. And if you get to looking, and I love history too, all these farms that used to be out across this area, these Great Plains, that are gone now. And that's part of the consolidation process that our world has experienced, and I think that consolidation process is going to maybe continue. But yeah, we need to support our local communities and keep them going because of a few different things I'll talk about later. And the future technology that agriculture's got to bring. And there's a lot of technology out there right now that we're not using, but I think to get this technology really running, we're going to need young people to help us. All the young people in this room, your future is bright in agriculture. And you don't have to come from a farm, you don't have to have ties to it. I think it's pretty neat when I look around about the kids that grew up in rural or Raven or grew up in other cities that had nothing to do with agriculture. Their family didn't have a farm. But there's an opportunity for those individuals to still be involved in agriculture and still be on a farm. So first off, food. It took about 2 million years for mankind to get to 1 billion people. That's from prehistoric to where we could get to 1 billion. And the main source of food at that time was hunting and gathering. That is why there wasn't a lot of food, and there was also, I mean, it was a dog-eat-dog world. It was harsh out there. They were exposed to a lot of different things that made survival tough. And hunting and gathering was the main food source. But the unique thing I think is it only took 200 years to reach 7 billion people. From when we hit 1 billion to 7 billion in 200 years. 200 years might seem like a long time, but it's not really in the grand scheme of things. It's pretty short. 34 years ago, I just remember being in this gym, and that seems like yesterday. And so time flies. What's going to be the next 200 years? One of the unique things that I think that got us there, or not I think I know what got us there, was agriculture. We started to be more domesticated, cultivate land, domesticate crops, produce more food. And when we can produce more food, the population was able to multiply. The other thing that I think has really happened in the last 100 years when you look at science and where we've come from is just the science of the medical science and the sanitary conditions that we're in. People tend to live longer and tend to not die in early life because of that, because we have better medical and sanitary conditions. The mortality rate isn't as high as it was 150 years ago. And so because of that, there's more mouths to feed. And to feed those mouths is going to take a task that agriculture can do. In 1898, Sir William Crookes predicted the world was facing a major crisis because of all these mouths to feed. The number of people would outpace food production. He predicted that by the 1930s, that if we didn't find some sort of a chemical manure to produce more food, people were going to start dying of starvation. And some people said he's nuts, it's not going to happen. And the unique thing is mankind has been, and through the gifts of God, has been able to find ways to produce more food. And probably the one thing that really changed that was nitrogen. But the people back in the 1800s that were probably the best farmers of that time were the Chinese. The Europeans could only feed about 1 to 2 people per acre of land. The Chinese had figured out to be able to feed 10 people per acre of land. So they were 5 to 10 times more efficient than what the Europeans were at that time. The Europeans were mainly on a wheat bread diet. They were what they called the wheat-eating people. And so they knew they had to do something different. And if you look at what wheat does, wheat needs a good chunk of nitrogen to do that. So how the Chinese were doing it was making them more efficient was through crop rotations. And they had diversity within their system. They were utilizing a lot of things to make them more efficient. Things that I think that we can do in the future. Right now, we forgot because we're all human and we want to hit the easy button. We forgot about some of the things that they did then. So I think we have to look back to history to also get us in the future of agriculture. Crop rotations, how do we build some better efficiencies? But anyway, Sir William Crookes said that we are going to need to find a chemical manure soon if we were going to avoid this crisis. And chemistry was really coming into play at that time. The Europeans were really working hard. The Germans were the company, or the people that were probably driving things the most. And it was in 1910 that the Haber-Bosch process was developed. And most people aren't familiar with what the Haber-Bosch process is, but it's actually the making of anhydrous ammonia. And they took nitrogen that's in the air, 80% of the air is nitrogen. They were able to fix that nitrogen out of the air and make it a synthetic available nitrogen so we could produce more food. Now nitrogen is important for food, but it's important for all life. And there's only, without this synthetic nitrogen, there's only so much we can do, that so many people that can live on this world. About 4 billion people could survive on the world to the best farming practices and with the nitrogen that was available through natural means. So when they discovered that was in 1910. That isn't that long ago. It's 111 years ago when the Germans developed that. It took them about another 10 years, not quite 10, about 5 years, to get the process discovered enough that they could actually make it a viable resource to do anything. Now, I said I liked history. If you look back at what happened in that time frame, World War I, World War II, and the youth of the world was on a massive technology drive. Industrialization was happening. There was a lot of things going on. So I talked about bread being important for food, for food production, or nitrogen being important for bread. Nitrogen is also a key component in making ammunitions. And so that was one of the things that was driving this, because there is able to be mined in Chile, but there's actually water spots over nitrogen. There's a book out there called The Alchemy Affair, and if you like history, and I suggest it to every person that eats. If you don't eat, don't worry about it. Read that book, because it has a lot of good history and it explains a lot of the technology and the science that we have today. This Haber-Bosch process actually developed factories because they couldn't make this antimony without high pressure and certain metals. So it drove the Germans, and the company that did it is actually still in business today. BASF was the company that funded that process. So that changed food production. That is also what, once you get plenty of food, people have more time to do other things. Food's a basic need. A human has 3 basic needs: food, shelter, and water. You can live anywhere if you've got those 3 things. Since we have those 3 basic needs, man, for so long, our basic need, we forgot about our true basic needs. We've moved on to, I think, some of the younger kids, like, I gotta have a cell phone. I can have a cell phone. We were watching a movie the other day from the 1990s. There was very few people had cell phones. And now everybody's got a cell phone. And so, as we evolve, our basic needs change, but I still think we need to get back to what our true basic needs, and that's part of what agriculture can be involved with, is provide those basic needs. Talking about feeding mouths, you know, there's a lot of marketing that goes on. I feel it's marketing right now. Geez, we need to, by 2050, we're going to have 11 million people. And if we don't step up our food production now, we're not going to be able to feed everybody. I do question that. There's other people that there's projections and science out there that maybe push that back the other way. I don't know that we're going to get to 11 million people by 2050. And a couple of reasons are, we've changed when we look at our birthing rates. Our birthing rates worldwide are going to stabilize, and we're probably going to get to where we're going to just maintain. We're not going to continue to grow. You look at families now, they're not as big as what they were. The other unique thing is, when you look at that, is as we've changed our roles within society, that women are out doing work in the workforce, which is great. But because of that, they don't tend to have children as early in life as they did before, and now they have them later, and they tend to have less of them compared to what our ancestors had. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's why I think one of the reasons we're going to stabilize, and we're not going to have 11 million people. I could be wrong, we'll see. So, food production. The next thing is future energy production. Ethanol has been a part of this, and there's a lot of controversy that goes around ethanol, but I do think it's a stepping stone to different technology that could get us to more biomass energy production, and agriculture will be a key part of that. An economic driver in rural communities. I think keeping people on the land is very important, and I mentioned that earlier. This is a personal belief of mine, but you know, I've got some friends that live in the bigger cities, and they like it, but that's what they know. And I guess I like this, because this is what I know. I don't like being around a lot of people. This is the perfect size for me. It's one of the reasons I like it. It's big enough to get everything I need, but small enough that I don't feel like I've got someone running over the top of me. The 8 o'clock rush hour, from 7:50 to 8 in Edinburgh, I can manage. Dickinson drives me nuts if I got to be in Dickinson at that time frame. So I just think why that is important to me is a better quality of life. Raising our family out here in a rural area is important. For me as a person, I enjoyed my life in a rural area. I wouldn't change it for anything. The other thing is, I think we can have just as good or even a better quality of education in this world, in these rural areas. We've got good internet. Internet is going to continue to be. One thing about the pandemic, it's forced us to do things different. We communicate now in different ways. I mean, we used to have to go to a meeting for everything. We were jumping in a vehicle and driving here to there. Now we get on Zoom and we do our 1-hour meeting, and hey, got our information we needed, we move on with our day. Reduces the amount of carbon we're going to emit in this world because of pollution. So now we're not driving all over. Yeah, in rural areas we do have to communicate, or we do have to commute and drive more. And he's like, biscuits. That's my nickname within Helen, is biscuits. He said, biscuits, what are you talking about? There's no traffic here. I said, you should have seen it 5 years ago. There was nothing here to keep. That's what I like, personally. So I think that can be an important part, and agriculture being a main source of economic driver in these rural communities. The real thing I wanted to probably touch more time on is precision agriculture, because this is an exciting time for us right now. I think this is the future and the frontier of agriculture. And I'm talking farming, but you can take this to animal agriculture too. You can take it to anything. And it's a great opportunity for our youth. And when I'm going to talk about precision agriculture, it's mainly about precision placement of fertilizers, understanding what's going on with our soils, and that type of thing. But it's been talked about. I remember it in college. When I graduated in '99, so in 1996, they were having discussions about grid sampling, and precision agriculture was going to change agriculture for the good, but it was extremely expensive when you looked at the cost of it. And it was like, it's going to be involved in just high production agriculture. At that time, I thought, yeah, it might be expensive, but could it be an opportunity for us in these more drier areas as a way to manage our resources better? We're always looking, trying for water. I always say a half-inch of rain will fix any mistake that any farmer makes. All you need is a half-inch rain at the right time, and you can fix a lot of mistakes. If you don't get it, like the situation we're in, there's going to be a lot of mistakes that aren't going to be covered up this year, and it is what it is. That's what God's plan is to do that. He'll work us through it too. So I think it's even more important in these dryland agriculture because we can help manage our risk better. And one of the other things about this is through farming and tilling of soils, we've also been a major polluter in the environment. And this is something people within production ag don't like to hear. You say this to somebody, you'll get booed out of some rooms. But the truth is the truth. And I was thinking about what Jaden mentioned earlier about mistake is part of the process. We've made some mistakes in agriculture. We can fix those things and be part of the process to address that. So when we look at like the carbon, and you can look at it different ways, our environment is changing. We are warming up. What is the cause of that? Is it natural or are we part of it? I don't know. But something's happening. And the science, shows that we've emitted about 120 billion tons of carbon, and about 25% of that 120 billion tons that's been emitted is from soil degradation. And when you look at food production in the history of man, they would farm in an area for so long, and then they would move on because they degraded their soils to the point they couldn't produce anymore. And that's why the plains were settled in this time frame. It wasn't necessarily as people trying to find more opportunity. There was also a need trying to produce more food, and how they produced more food was to farm new lands. We no longer, we know what's all in the world, it's being mapped. Most of these soils are farmed that can be farmed. They're still bringing production in South America, that's going to be part of it. But every day in the U.S., we lose some of the best agricultural soils to urbanization. There are being houses and things built on them, we're losing those. So with that, when we're losing prime farmland, we need to do a better job with our marginal soils. And some of our marginal soils shouldn't be farmed. I think we can do a better job where they might go back into a carbon sink. The unique thing is that I found in my research to do this talk a little bit was about it was in the 1960s when fossil fuel carbon emissions surpassed soil degradation. So why soil degradation was so important or was such a huge thing at that time? Because we didn't have the chemistry and the science then to control weeds, and we were using tillage to control weeds. I grew up when this country was half that. And as I'm doing our precision ag work, now I've got a couple young guys that are in their 20s. And we're doing fields and looking at fields. And since then, there's been an evolution of small fields to producers who went to large fields. And as we get involved in precision agriculture, the farmer will be like, there's that part of the field that never does well. we can start seeing some of these soil degradation events that happen on yield maps. And it'll be a straight line. You probably might see it in the combine, and there's something going on here, I don't know what. You put it on a map, put it up on a computer screen, you can see it. And I had one gentleman, he's 25, and he's like, Ron, come look at this field. There's something going on here. I've never seen anything like it. I looked at it, and I said, I'll bet you that field was farmed east and west, and it's been farmed north and south, it was combine north and south. But you could see every one of those old field lines on that yield map. He's like, I don't know what it is. I've never seen anything so weird. That's where having history in the hall, I thought that was neat, the wisdom piece of the advisors. And I think we need to go back and use the wisdom of our ancestors and of our older people, how they used to farm in some of these soils too. They use soil tillage as a way to manage the weeds and produce a crop, but they also use cultural methods that are important. Crop rotation, cover crops, those type of things. So because of the soil degradation, we see a lot of issues going on productivity in certain spots. And that's where precision ag can help manage those areas. Variable rate application technology. I got a magazine on the pack rat. I was going through some stuff where it says you need to clean some stuff out here. You can't have all this. So I was going through some things and I run across a magazine from 1996. And it was a Case IH advanced farming system. That's been 25 years ago. And we are still just getting started with precision ag, where, yes, it's been around, people have been doing it, but it's been slow to adopt. And one of the things I see is most of the farm machinery has that technology on it, but the producers themselves aren't willing to adopt it and take it on. Because I think there's a group of us as producers, and I'm guilty of it myself, early on, I was, but we reevaluate how we want to do things. Big is better. At a certain point, you get so big, you lose some true efficiencies because it's about covering the acres and getting across them. So a lot of these big farms have this technology, but they're not all using it. And so I do think that there is an opportunity to put more people back on the land because we can be more efficient and improve the return on investment by using precision agriculture to make that farm profitable again. So going back, that is why I believe in the future of agriculture. This was just a little bit of things that I believe that I've touched on myself. To the students in this room and the young people, you never know where you're going to end up, but like Jade said, don't quit, make a mistake, learn from it, it's part of life. And there's good opportunity out there in ag, and it can be very rewarding. And that's one of the things that I enjoy the most is being able to raise a better crop. Not necessarily a bigger yield, but can I do it better? And the other future I think is can we do it in a more of an environmentally sustainable manner? Can we reduce the amount of nitrogen that we're using? Nitrogen's been important for mankind, but nitrogen's also been a detriment because of soil acidification, nitrates in our waters. We can do a better job, and precision ag can help us do that. So I've talked about a half hour. I mean, I could talk for more, but I'm going to quit because I asked Kate earlier, I said, well, how long do I get? About an hour and a half? He's like, yeah, sure, Mr. Berwick. I've never been to a football event, but some speakers like to get long-winded than I can, so I'm going to leave it at that. We'll be around. I do want to thank Brooke and the kids for all the support in my endeavors of being involved in agriculture. It's not easy because it can be demanding sometimes too. So thank you.
Thank you, Ron, for those wonderful words. We would now like to present to you a gift of our gratitude of an FFA mug. Ron shared he never had FFA when he was in high school. We hope you will continue to learn what this great organization has to offer. Please help me in giving Ron one round of applause. We will now begin the award portion of our banquet.
The Discovery Degree is a degree for chapters out of 7th and 8th grade members, and is presented to members who are enrolled in A class and show promise of involvement in the FFA. Please remain up front for a picture. The recipients this year for the Discovery Degree are Kayla Schauer, Allison Scogan, Gerda Jacques, Jackson Allen, Cameron Wheeland, Jalen Larson, Casey Kinsbauer, Micah Kilzer, Trevor Daly, Jacob Galbraith, Oscar Perkins, Layla Jensen, Avery Toohey, Hayden Defoe, Shay Anderson, Trixie Hamilby, Heidi Martinez, Blake Larson, and Erica Havelka. Congratulations to all these graduates. The next degree that we will be giving out is the Green Hand degree. The Green Hand degree is presented to those students who have been enrolled in an agricultural education class for 1 full year, and in their first years of FFA membership, and have started a supervised agriculture experience, or what we call an SAE program. When your name is called, please come to the front and remain up front for a picture. The recipients for the Green Hand degree this year are Jocelyn Wolf, Ella Friebel, Sarah Holscan, Olivia Havelka, Oscar Locker, Logan Ebert, Braden Yonner, and Colson Mellon. Congratulations to all Green Hand FFA degree recipients. I now call on our chapter secretary to present the chapter degree awards after the photo. Oh, just kidding. There was a change of plans and it will now be the second one.
The chapter degree is the highest degree a chapter can bestow on its members. It is usually awarded during the second or third year of the membership. To earn this degree, recipients must have their Green Hand FFA degree, 2 hours outside of class time, leadership of 15-minute group discussion, demonstration of 5 procedures of parliamentary law, degrees toward individual achievements in FFA award program, and satisfactory scholastic records. This year's chapter degree recipients are Caitlin Schauer, Kate Michaels, Patrick Schultz, Sydney Ellingson, Odin Hasbrook, I will now call on the present to present out our top sponsors.
Our top sponsors this year are Anthony Larson, who donated a 300-pound hog, which A classes then were processed between Todd and Ron Fink and the school with help from Ken Brackle and Tom Arterford. Ken Brackle, who shared his knowledge and receipts for sausage for our classes. Tom Arterford, who not only helped with processing the poor pigs of summer sausage, he helps with A classes throughout the year with knowledge and constantly sharing his tools. In addition, he built and put up a very sturdy gate at the club barn, strong enough to hold an elephant, and he's helped us hold out with Shepherd building in class. Liz and Taylor Morrill, who show all of our classes how to process chickens that allowed our students first-hand experience. Susan May, who continues coaching our horse judging team, traveling an hour and a half throughout the horse judging season. With the top sponsors, please come forward and receive a gift of appreciation and a quick picture. And Todd Rutherford for butchering the hogs for us. Many of these sponsors are on the Egg Advisory Board or the Booster Club or both. Thank you all so much for helping the Egg Department and FFA Chapter become stronger and more educated. We're on the people. I now call on Mr. Shower to give out our next awards. Have the honorary award first. FFA relies on the support of exceptional teachers, individuals, and companies to provide life-changing experiences for its members. Individuals who have provided exceptional service to agriculture education, or a fair are eligible to the honorary chapter FFA degree. These individuals have helped with mentorship, monetary donations, coaching, curriculum guidance, shop maintenance, and so much more. This year's honorary chapter or recipient coached agronomy workouts nearly every week. Each member of the team absolutely loved the team problem, just ask them. They had math coming out of their ears. Not only did he help with teaching our team plant rounds, team problem, and seed identification tricks, he treated us with a personalized tour of the gasification plant in Beulah after the contest. Kids learned not only how the plants operate and its purpose, he also gave us an entire history lesson of much of the area surrounding Mann in North Dakota. He traveled to more than one contest this year to really get to know the ins and outs of the contest, wrote down notes to make our first contest a success. He also shared his son to practice with us and challenge the older members. We were all impressed with this second grader and how much he knows about the equipment. We later found out his pastime is reading about equipment magazines. A huge thank you to congratulations to this year's recipient of the Henry FFA Honorary Award, Ron Kestel.
by pastime. I too agree the mac and cheese rocked. The servers, can you guys all wave? These awesome junior high kids and freshmen did an amazing job. Katie did an amazing job cutting up fruit, she said. Well done. I do enjoy Jaden's talk about mistakes. We all know if you have me in fact class in 7th grade, and I say, dude, you can totally turn on the blender full speed with flour only. You just gotta clean them. So I don't mind mistakes. You guys have all heard that first day of class. I just ask that you learn from them, right? If you cut yourself with scissors, use a knife next time. and whatnot into his classwork, holy moly, this kid could move mountains. We'll get there. If you haven't noticed who I'm talking about, it's this gentleman over here. He's sold, what did you sell? A router kit again and again this year for the third time for egg sales. He knows that thing backwards and forwards. Next year, he wants to sell insurance. And so we need to talk about this. He said he might do this his senior year, so we'll see. First outstanding chapter candidate is Mr. Cade Michaels. So we got those done. This generation of procrastinating is what causes the gray hair the most, but these kids managed to actually succeed at the end of the day, and two also drives me batty. But this kid can
patient. And by the end of the week, she usually gets them to me, we get them submitted. Huge help with Banquet, the program, the organizing. She does a lot. The secretary has a lot of responsibilities, getting the minutes every single month, getting the agenda, helps organizing the committees, usually lean on the committees. She tells me that I never have a clean room, so she likes to organize my room and I don't know where things are, so then I have to talk to her again. But usually at the end of the day, we find at least 40% of what I'm looking for. She did a lot with this banquet. Put the script together again, 15 minutes practically. What happened this morning? So we got the script together almost in time with few editing. Helps out a lot with National FFA Week, as does a lot of these kids that you're looking up here. And she helped with Livestock Judging, which was really fun this year as well. So with that being said, Katie Shaw. Okay, up to the last view here, we have a top salesman this year. This kid kind of came out of the woodworks this year. He sold over $2,000 in fruit. When Mom came to pick up the fruit, she had no idea the vast amount of room it would take in her vehicle, and it was like playing Jenga, trying to get all the boxes of fruit and whatnot in the vehicle. But that kid went out and delivered everything. Came back the next day, told me his progress, and he got that done in just no time. Yeah, remember he just jumped in. We went to range camp together this summer. He's kind of got a mind, a steel trap mind. He looks at stuff and he just has it. This is a 4-day camp up in Amadon at the logging camp ranch. And in one camp, he comes home with 5th place. And so that's pretty impressive. We went to have some more live workouts just the west of calls me Mrs. Shower every day at school, and then he still comes home sometimes and calls me Mrs. Shower, which I really don't like, but I get it. He's been a member since 7th grade. He had no idea what he was getting into back then. He had Mr. Lewick, and he said, sure, okay. And then the next year, he was kind of stuck with me. He served as treasurer, vice president, president, done quite a bit. Both of these kids, they've grown so much into young individuals with a love of agriculture. We've had these two in every class since I've started here as an ag teacher. They both become very comfortable with public speaking, which I feel is one of the most important things that you learn as an FFA member. It's been just a joy to take them to National Convention. One of the highlights, maybe more for me, is it landed on Halloween. And I like to scream when I get scared, so I scream for about an hour and a half through the entire, I laugh scream. And so I think they had more fun laughing at me than actually the haunted house. When I went to National Convention, just a few years before, we only had 1,100 kids there, and that was in Kansas City. When these kids went, we were looking at about 70,000, and it was a sea of blue. And so I thought it was ginormous back then. You guys had a whole different experience. I hope the rest of you guys get to have that same experience someday, because it's quite breathtaking. Between the dedication and some of the stuff that you guys did miss out this year, you guys got kicked out of a room during a meeting a couple months ago. You guys remember that? The FFA chapter presented or wants to present you each a $500 scholarship with the agreement that you come back every year on the first day of school and recite the creed. I'm sure you're going to miss these two. May your dreams take you far and your futures are bright. Our seniors, Hayden and Tatum. Hayden,
So, my FFA career started 7th grade. I didn't have an A class, but I was looking for stuff to do in high school, in junior high. Didn't know what to do, but I knew there was an FFA thing, so walked into Mr. Luke's, was like, hey, what do I need to do to be an FFA? He's like, well, just sign this piece of paper and you're in it. I didn't do anything that year. But I could say that I was in 7th grade year. And then the next year, kind of went south. Found out my mom, of all people, my mom was going to be the new ag teacher. And it turned out okay, I guess. She got me to do a lot of activities. My first year in the FFA, I immediately started doing creed speaking and a bunch of the other just leadership competitions. And going through the rest of my high school career, I joined range judging, beach judging, livestock judging, and a bunch of other competitions that I've really enjoyed throughout the years. My most memorable event was definitely the National FFA Convention. Yeah, that was throughout the whole thing. It was fun. I'm going to remember that through the rest of my life. And this year didn't really go as planned for my senior year. But all things considered, it went pretty well. And then just to end it all, the saving license that I finally got after working for, I think, 8 years in livestock judging really rounded it off for me, and I'm glad that happened this year. But yeah, it'll probably always be part of me. It's really helped me make me the person I am today. So, and I'd like to thank Mr. Shaw for making me do it the whole time. Thank you.
When I first heard this, I was kind of shocked to hear it out of this one person because I was like, he's actually smart. But then I really thought back to this and I was like, yep, he's right. And that's what FFA does. It makes you think different. It makes you get up to an audience and talk. It helps you network and make connections with those you never expect. I will admit I was skeptical about joining, but I am beyond grateful to be part of this. Was I expecting to get wrangled by a dairy cow my first year? No. Was I expecting to meet new people that would end up becoming my best friend? No. Was I also expecting to earn a herdsmanship award up at the state fair? No. What I am telling you is that FFA is an organization that really does push you to the limits and allows you to discover who you really are, as well as making you think outside the box. FFA is not about the placement you get at an LED, CDE, state convention, or even a showing competition. It is about making those connections that can create lifelong memories and be able to look back at your jacket 20 years later and say, man, I am thankful for all the lessons and memories that I've done throughout my FFA career. Before I quit, I want to say a few thank yous. I want to thank the FFA chapter for kind of just going on everything. You guys are going to go through so much, and I wish you guys the best of luck. Thank you to the advisory committee and the FFA board. Without both of you guys, we wouldn't be able to be where we are financially, and the equipment you guys have donated. And thank you for all your knowledge and support throughout the years. Thank you, Chris and Ron, for allowing me to start my goat journey at your barn. Your teaching of leadership skills as well as different responsibilities needed to take care of my animals is very grateful. And also thank you to the Adams County Youth Development for being able to provide the club barn for those who don't have a place to house their animals. Mom and Dad. Dad, thank you for always being there. Whenever it comes to eating a hand meal. Thank you for teaching me how to fix fences as well as anything with the barn. And thank you for showing me what it's like to be a hard worker. Mom, thank you for being my number one fan. And you always support me, and as well as becoming a goat parent. You always have my back, and you always talk to
So Ron Kestel gave you the history of agriculture for the most part. And so I was going to write an article about our contest we had in March and do a little history on FFA. I have never been in FFA. I knew nothing about the program before Todd wrote me the first meeting. And so I wrote this article to give a little history of FFA, and then Sydney put in the wonderful Winter CDE article, and I decided I'm not going to put my article in the paper. So you guys get it tonight. So it is the Hettinger FFA Booster Club hosts first contest in 83-year history. How many of you here have known that Hettinger has had an FFA chapter for 83 years? So by 1917, people were realizing more was needed in education than the academics of reading, writing, arithmetic, Greek, and Latin. The editor of Wallace's Farmer, Henry Wallace, was quoted in 1905 as saying, "We need to abandon the cut and dry formula of a period when a man was educated, only when he knew Greek and Latin." This opinion was held by many throughout the United States, greater in rural areas where almost 3/4 of the country's population lived. In 1904, O.J. Kern, superintendent of schools in Winnebago County, Illinois, stated, "Why not a course of training in the country school for the country boy, which shall teach him more about the country life about him? Along with the study of the kangaroo, the bamboo, and the cockatoo, why not study the animals of the farm?" A lack of qualified teachers and no standardization to the curriculum allowed for little progress in teaching about agriculture up to 1915. The year 1908 saw 93% of school-aged people in grade schools, with only 4% in high school and 3% in college. This brought about the introduction of the Smith Hughes Act by Georgia's Senator Hope Smith and Representative Dudley Hughes. It was signed into law February 23, 1917, and provided federal funds for the teaching of home economics, agriculture, and trades on a standardized basis throughout the United States. This led to more people attending school for a longer period of time. In 2014, 24% of students were in high school and 28% in college. Since the Smith Hughes Act, the progress of technology has bettered the lives of not only farm families, but for everyone in the world who is clothed and fed by the American farmer. After the passing of this act, Virginia started a state organization in 1925 and served as the role model for a national organization. The first National Congress of Vocational Agriculture Students gathered for a national livestock judging contest at the American Royal Livestock and Horse Show in Kansas City, Missouri in 1926. The first Constitution and bylaws were written in 1927, and the Future Farmers of America began in Kansas City, Missouri in 1928. North Dakota was one of the original 18 states sending delegates to the first National FFA Convention. Hettinger Public School officially joined the North Dakota FFA organization February 7, 1938, with 42 members signing the charter to establish the Bolio FFA chapter of Hettinger. Named after the superintendent at that time, A.P. Bolio, the original members of the organization were Morse Merwin, Lyle Markegard, Winston Markegard, Jacob Wolf, Roland Miller, Rudolph Zimmerman, Joseph Euler, Leland Steinbach, Harvey Solon, Raymond Nelson, Martin Nelson, Gerald Mueller, Jacob Lee, Arthur Koyman, Dean Dunn, William Chun, Arthur Arndorfer, Herman Strelo, Richard Steinbach, Stanley Severson, John Severson, Irvin Schneider, Woodrow Luton, Von Doer, Gordon Christensen, John Bird, Peter Schmaltz, John Schmaltz, George Plonsky, Arnold Osmondson, Vernon Olson, Ellsworth Olson, Merle Lee, William Koyman, Roy Knudsen, Jerome Johnson, Morris Hamilton, Floyd Erlinson, Lloyd Erickson, Edward Cornella, Lowell Banning, and Lynn Hansden. Although most of these people are no longer with us, a lot of their families have remained in this community. The chapter received a name change in 1967 to simply the Hettinger FFA chapter. With the mission of, through agriculture education, students are provided opportunities for leadership development, personal growth, and career success. Agriculture education instruction is delivered through three major components: classroom laboratory instruction, which is contextual learning, supervised agriculture experience programs, work-based learning, and student leadership organizations, the National FFA organization, National Young Farmer Education Association, and National Post-Secondary Agricultural Student Organization. Including students in grades 7 through 12, the Hettinger FFA Chapter's advisor, Rhonda Scheller, helps students through projects as small as simply learning the FFA Creed to larger projects in developing and running their SAE project, where a student learns by doing. Today's FFA vocational education students at Hettinger put their abilities to the test by experiencing the skilled trades of cement work, plumbing, carpentry, electricity, learning the basics of embroidery equipment, vinyl printing and engraving, and meat processing. These experiences are provided through the volunteerism of local individuals and businesses along with state North Dakota funding to provide the more expensive equipment. I don't know how many of you know, but the cement work, they had Tanner Stippick come in and teach them some basics on cement work. Plumbing, John Muth came in and helped out. Electricity, I'm not sure, Tom Arndorfer did that, okay? And so the embroidery equipment, the vinyl printing, the engraving, they get this equipment to come through the school. They pass it around to the different schools. So all these kids get to experience all these projects as part of the FFA program. As part of the learning experiences, students join teams. Through the Hettinger FFA chapter, there are several areas of judging available. Hettinger participates in crops, livestock, and egg sales teams. Egg sales is a team of 3 to 5 individuals. There are 2 parts to this contest. The team is given 15 minutes to come up with their sales pitch as to why the judges should hire them as their marketing team. Then each individual team member chooses an agriculturally related product to sell to the judges. The product can be something they made or a product off the shelf in the store. The results of these 2 events are added to the results of a 50-question test each participant must take. Now, I don't know how many of you know what these kids do at these contests, but this is what they do at these contests. In livestock judging, teams may again consist of 3 to 5 individuals. As a team, they rank breeding and market classes of beef, sheep, and swine, giving oral reasons to back up their decisions. Crops judging is unique to the state, as there are not the same crops and weeds found in each of the 50 states. Contestants are to judge 4 different things. The PAN classes. I could not understand what PAN classes were. It took until putting together the contest in March, I finally understood what PAN classes were. The PAN classes, which consist of 4 different crop types, hard red spring wheat, durum, flax, barley, and oats, they must rank each class by evaluating the sample for cracked or broken seeds, heat damage, or foreign weeds. So we took and we set out paper plates on the table with all these different crop samples, and these kids had to go around and decipher what was wrong with these crops. You can tell me if I'm wrong. The market class consists of 10 different pans where the contestants determine the one outstanding trait that will affect its market grade. The paper class gives certain information on hard red spring wheat and durum. The students analyze each sample and grade them according to current U.S. grading regulations. The seeds and crop ID portion has contestants identifying 15 seeds, 15 plant mounts, 15 types of equipment, and 15 types of insects. And every contest is different. No two contests use the same plant. So it's not like they just, this year they need to know these 15 or next year these 15. There's 7 contests through the year, 8 contests through the year. Yeah, just in our part of the state. And so every contest these kids go to, they have to know what that group chose to put in their contest. This agronomy portion is rounded off with a 50-question test. In 2017, the Henninger Vocational Education Department found a new supporter in the recently organized Henninger FFA Booster Club. The group is diverse in its membership, with previous FFA members and individuals who have never been involved in FFA. With the purpose of providing to the Henninger FFA program and Ag Education Department with fundraising, purchase of tools or educational materials, judging contests, or physical labor, whatever is needed by them. The group hosted for the first time in the chapter's 83 years a judging contest. There were 42 students from 7 schools in western North Dakota who participated in the egg sales and agronomy portions of a contest. In cooperation with the Henninger Public School, the event was held in the Henninger Armory on March 13th, after it had been canceled in 2020. With the gracious volunteerism of our team egg sales, Charlie Reisenauer, Carrie Dangrud, and Kristen Miles, individual egg sales judges, Al Fever, Mike Knut, Ryan Mosier, Heather Zimmerman, and many, many Henninger FFA members, attending advisors from other schools, and countless hours from the Booster Club members, the newbie Booster Club was able to overcome several obstacles and have a successful event. We would like to recognize the members of our group. Please stand as your name is called if you are here. So we have Todd Fink, who is the president, Joy Lawford is vice president, and I, Ron Fink, am secretary-treasurer. We are only a success due to the rest of our group. Tom Arndorfer, Anthony Larson, Ron Kestel, Mike Knut, and Mark Nelson. And our extra help in Mrs. Shower, sorry. She lets us know, she advises us. When we don't understand or know what's going on in a contest or whatever, she helps us through that. The Booster Club is looking forward to next year's contest, where we are looking at adding livestock judging. Our understanding, I don't know how many of the rest of you in this group have been involved in livestock judging. I've never seen it done. So, next year's contest, where we are looking at adding livestock judging. Our understanding is that this portion of the contest requires many more volunteers. So be ready to support your local agriculture next year when asked if you would help. The Henninger FFA Booster Club would like to thank each of you for your support of FFA by being here this evening. And we would like to thank the FFA chapter for inviting us. We are having a meeting Friday, April 30th at 6 p.m. at Todd's and my house. If you would like to come, you are more than welcome. Just contact one of our members. Thank you.
This is an exciting part of the program where we install the 2021-2022 2 heading your FFA officer team. Candidates filled out officer applications and went through a long interview process led by the AGA Advisory Board. Will the new officers please come to the awards table to receive their officer pin and take their positions at the head table as I call your names. President, Kate Michaels. Vice President Olivia Havelka. Secretary Caitlin Schauer. Treasurer Jocelyn Wall. Reporter Sydney Ellingson. Sentinel Blake Larson. And parliamentarian Ella Freeble. It is an honor to be an officer in the FFA. From time to time during the years, we may encounter difficult problems, but through cooperation, hard work, and dedication, you will succeed and the FFA will prosper. Do each of you accept the responsibilities of your office, and will you do your best to uphold the ideals and principles of the FFA? If so, answer we do.
We do.
Now declare each of you properly and duly installed in the respective office to which you were elected. May your year of service be marked by integrity, dedication, and a cooperative spirit. Seek harmony among your fellow officers, set high standards of leadership for all chapter members. Congratulations.
Madam Secretary, do you have a record of any further business which would properly come before this banquet? Does any member know of any new or unfinished business which should properly be found before this banquet? We're about to adjourn the banquet of the Hager FFA chapter. As we mingle with others, let us be diligent in our labors, just in our dealings, courteous to everyone, and above all, honest and fair in the game of life. Fellow members and guests, join me in salute for